By about AD 1250, the oldest gold fields along the upper reaches of the Niger River to the west of Jenny were becoming exhausted. But to the great advantage of trading towns like Jenny, a new source of gold began to be developed. Rich quantities of gold now came from the country to the south, today part of the modern Republic of Ghana. This development brought power and wealth to the forest people, and in due course to those of the kingdom of Ashanti. Even today, King Opoku-Ware, traditional ruler of Ashanti, can still display the glittering opulence which so astonished the first Europeans who visited this kingdom, founded 3 centuries ago. The Ashanti use of gold is lavish and extraordinary, and it reflects the golden wealth of the grand empires of Western Africa in the Middle Ages. More than 900 years ago, a North African historian described the royal court and ceremonial of that distant time in the empire of ancient Ghana, almost as though he were describing King Opoku-Ware of today.
The king adorns himself like a woman, wearing necklaces and bracelets of gold. Behind him stand pages holding shields and swords decorated with gold, and on his right are the sons of the subordinate kings of his country, all wearing splendid garments, and their hair plaited with gold.
Today, most of the king's political power has gone, but in accordance with tradition, the king still has the right to promote his subordinate chiefs to higher ranks. These chiefs, as on similar occasions in the past, come forward one by one to reaffirm their loyalty and offer royal praises.
What? Na boje sabu so ko nyina ben wo yanchi madua tram okuku sunukuku di odamre mu osia me akosie yae osia dani o.
Ashanti power rested on farming prosperity and military strength, but its gold had long attained a far wider influence. By a fortunate blessing, the majestic Niger, called by its people the River of Singers, lay to the north. A learned Egyptian visitor of the 14th century described this great trading region as 4 months of travel long and 4 months wide. The Mali Empire was, in fact, among the biggest trading systems in the world, with its roots in the gold of Western Africa. From the markets of the upper Niger to those of Hausaland and Bornu, a distance wider than Western Europe, the Niger still carries a daily traffic whose style and tones speak for an ancient stability and peace.
Mama, mama, yeah, mama, sawa, yeah, mama.
Gold here was always important, but nobody can eat gold. The Niger has always provided fish in abundant quantities. And that's a vital source of protein in a local diet based largely on cereals. With no means of refrigeration in this hot climate, immediate drying or smoking of the fish has been essential, if they're to be kept for any length of time. By custom, this work is done by women, who usually share the profit on a family basis. Smoke-dried fish is carried and sold to towns and villages far from the river itself. A day's journey from Jenne, downstream along this broad river highway, traders reach Mopti, nowadays the biggest market along this section of the Niger. I've come to this port on the great inland waterway of West Africa, the River Niger, more than 1,000 miles from the sea, because it's always been a vital artery of trade. And in this port and others like it, the wealth of this vast inland region arrived and departed fashionable cottons from Hausaland, tusks of ivory from grassland hunters, cola nuts from the forests of the south, foods in bulk such as sorghum, bars of iron, bars of copper, and most precious of all, the biggest underlying standard of trading value, gold. The women wear their immensely valuable regalia in perfect safety. It seems that this sense of security is by no means new. A famous traveler of the 14th century visited the Empire of Mali when it was still at the height of its prosperity, and recorded this in his memoirs.
Of all peoples, the Negroes are those who most abhor injustice. There is complete and general safety throughout the land. The traveler here has no more reason than the man who stays at home to fear brigands, thieves, or ravishers.
The man who wrote those words was a traveling scholar from Morocco named Ibn Battuta. And fortunately for us, his memoirs have survived, recalling much of the vivid detail of West Africa as it was 600 years ago. Here is his description of Mali's imperial court.
On certain days, the Sultan holds audiences in the palace yard, where there is a platform under a tree. It is carpeted with silk, and over it stands an umbrella which serves as a kind of silken pavilion surmounted by a bird in gold. On his head the Sultan wears a golden skull cap. His usual dress is a velvety red tunic made out of costly European fabrics. The Sultan is preceded by musicians who carry gold and silver guitars, and behind him come 300 armed slaves.